The sound of expensive cars pulling into my parents' circular driveway marked the beginning of another Montgomery family dinner. I watched from my modest Toyota as my brother's new Maserati purred to a stop, followed by my sister's Mercedes and my cousin's Bentley. "Still driving that thing, Claire?" my brother Marcus called out as I stepped from my car. "You know, they invented new models after 2015. I smiled, patting my car's reliable hood. "It gets me where I need to go." "That's what poor people always say," my sister Diana chimed in, adjusting her Cartier bracelet. "But then again, not all of us can be senior executives at Montgomery Industries." If they only knew that while they were showing off their expensive cars, I had just signed the final papers to buy their precious company. But that announcement wouldn't come until tomorrow's board meeting. "Claire, darling." My mother emerged from the house, air-kissing my cheek. "We were just talking about Marcus's latest achievement. The Thompson merger is all over the business news." Ah yes, the Thompson merger. The desperately needed deal that Montgomery Industries was counting on to save them from their declining stock prices and mounting debt. The same merger I was about to cancel as my first act as the new owner. "Congratulations, Marcus," I said mildly. "That must be quite an accomplishment." He preened, straightening his designer tie. "Well, not everyone can handle billion-dollar deals. Some of us," he smirked in my direction, "are better suited to smaller ventures." I thought about the documents in my briefcase back at my real office. Not the small consulting space my family knew about, but my actual headquarters that occupied 3 floors in the city's most prestigious building. Documents that would turn their world upside down in less than 24 hours. Speaking of ventures, my father boomed from the doorway. "Diana's got some exciting news too." Diana practically bounced with excitement. "I've been promoted to Chief Strategy Officer. The youngest in Montgomery Industries history." "Because nepotism had nothing to do with it," I murmured, but only my cousin William heard me. He shot me a quick grin, the only one in the family who had ever bothered to look past appearances. "Tau Claire," my mother sighed, "don't be jealous just because your siblings have real careers. Not everyone is cut out for corporate success." I followed them into the dining room, taking my usual seat at the far end of the table. The same spot I'd occupied since walking away from Montgomery Industries 5 years ago to start my own company. They'd all laughed then, convinced I was making the biggest mistake of my life. "Remember when Claire thought she could make it on her own?" Marcus chuckled, accepting a glass of expensive wine from the server. "What was it you called it? Phoenix something." "Phoenix Consulting Group," I corrected him. "And we're doing quite well, thank you." Diana snorted into her wine glass. "Please. Your biggest client is probably some local bakery. Meanwhile, I'm overseeing strategy for a Fortune 500 company." If only she knew that her strategy had been one of the main reasons I'd been able to buy Montgomery Industries so cheaply. Her initiatives had cost the company millions in failed projects and lost opportunities. "So Claire," my father turned his attention to me, his tone dripping with false concern, "are you at least making enough to get by? Your mother and I worry about you living in that tiny apartment, driving that old car." I thought about my penthouse overlooking the city, the vacation homes in 3 countries, the private jet I rarely used because I actually cared about environmental impact. "I manage," I said simply. "Well," Marcus leaned forward, "if you're ever truly struggling, I might be able to find you something entry-level at Montgomery Industries. You know, filing or reception work. Something more appropriate to your abilities." The irony was almost too perfect. In less than a day I would be his boss, and his first performance review wasn't going to be pretty. "That's thoughtful of you," I replied, "but I'm happy where I am." "Happy?" Diana scoffed. "How can you be happy being nobody? Look at us, Marcus is handling billion-dollar mergers. I'm the youngest CSO in company history and you're what? A small-time consultant." I took a sip of water, remembering the conversation I'd had with my lawyers just hours ago. "You know what they say about assumptions, Diana." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing at all. Just that things aren't always what they seem." My mother jumped in, ever ready to smooth over any hint of tension. "Who wants to hear about Marcus's new summer house? It's right on the lake with its own helipad." "Bought it cash," Marcus bragged. "That's what real success looks like, Claire. Not everyone has to count pennies to make rent." I thought about the fact that his cash purchase was actually leveraged against Montgomery Industries stock, stock that would be nearly worthless by this time tomorrow. The helipad was essential, he continued, warming to his favorite subject himself. Can't expect someone of my position to waste time driving like common people. Speaking of position, my father interjected, tell everyone your big news about tomorrow, son. Marcus straightened, practically glowing with self-importance. The board is announcing my promotion to Chief Operating Officer tomorrow morning. Youngest CEO in the company's history. 2 record-breaking promotions in one family, my mother gushed. We are so blessed. I checked my phone discreetly, an email from my lawyer confirming that everything was set for tomorrow's board meeting. The announcement of new ownership would come right after Marcus's promotion ceremony. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. What are you smiling about? Diana demanded. This is serious business success we're talking about, not whatever little projects you work on. Oh, I was just thinking about tomorrow, I said truthfully. It's going to be quite a day. For those of us who matter in the business world, sure, Marcus snorted. I don't imagine your day will be very exciting. What's on the agenda? Helping another small business with their filing system. William caught my eye again, noting my calm in the face of their mockery. He'd always been more observant than the others, more aware that still waters often ran deep. Actually, I said, I have an important meeting tomorrow too. What, finally getting a real job? Diana laughed. Finally admitting your little independence experiment failed? Not exactly. I took another sip of water. But it will be interesting. Speaking of interesting, my mother cut in. Diana's new office is absolutely gorgeous. Corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows, private bathroom. And here's Claire, Marcus gestured at me with his wine glass, probably working out of her apartment like some startup failure. I thought about my office, which occupied the entire top floor of the Phoenix building. About the view that made Diana's corner suite look like a storage closet in comparison. You really should consider Marcus's offer, my father said seriously. Entry-level work at Montgomery Industries would be better than whatever you're doing now. At least it would be respectable. Define respectable, I said quietly. Success, he boomed. Real success like your siblings. Corner offices, important titles, real achievement. Not this consulting nonsense you insist on pursuing. I stood up suddenly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need some air. Running away again? Marcus called after me. That's all you know how to do, run from real responsibility, real success. I stepped onto the back patio, breathing in the cool evening air. My phone buzzed, another message from my lawyer. Everything in place for tomorrow. They have no idea what's coming. Good, I typed back. Let's make it memorable. Through the window, I could hear them still discussing my failures, my poor life choices, my inability to achieve real success. If only they knew that while they were bragging about corner offices and executive titles, I was about to become their boss. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. The Montgomery Industries boardroom buzzed with excitement the next morning. I watched through the glass walls of my temporary office as executives filed in, my siblings among them. Marcus was practically strutting, already practicing his humble acceptance speech for his COO promotion. Everything's ready, my assistant Michael whispered. The board members all have copies of the acquisition documents. They're just waiting for your signal. I nodded, smoothing my Armani suit, the one I'd never worn to family functions because it would have raised too many questions. Let them start the promotion ceremony. I want the timing to be perfect. Through the glass, I could see Diana holding court near the coffee station, probably sharing another exaggerated story about her strategic brilliance. The same brilliance that had cost the company millions in failed initiatives. Your brother's getting impatient, Michael reported. He's asked 3 times when the ceremony will begin. Let him wait another 5 minutes. A little humility would do him good. Finally it was time. I watched as the board chairman called the meeting to order, saw Marcus straighten his tie and prepare to step forward for his big moment. Before we begin today's main announcement, the chairman started, we have an important matter to discuss. As you know, Montgomery Industries has been going through some challenges lately. Marcus's smile flickered slightly. This wasn't part of his script. Our stock price has declined 40% in the past year. Our market share is shrinking. Our latest initiatives, he glanced at Diana, have not produced the expected results. Now both my siblings were shifting uncomfortably in their seats, which is why the board has approved an acquisition offer from Phoenix Global Holdings. The room erupted in whispers. Marcus's face had gone pale. Acquisition, he sputtered. But my promotion. Perhaps, I said, stepping into the room, we should discuss that. The silence that followed was absolute. Diana's coffee cup slipped from her hand, splattering across her designer shoes. Claire, she whispered. What are you doing here? Hello, Diana. Marcus. I walked to the head of the table. Surprised to see your small-time consultant sister? Marcus found his voice first. This is a private meeting. Security. Actually, the chairman interjected, Ms. Montgomery is exactly where she belongs. As CEO of Phoenix Global Holdings, she now owns controlling interest in Montgomery Industries. The look on my siblings' faces was worth every moment of mockery I'd endured over the years. That's impossible, Diana stammered. You run a tiny consulting firm. No, I corrected her. I run one of the largest business consulting and acquisition firms in the country. Phoenix Consulting Group was just the public face. The part one let you see while I built something much bigger. But your car, your clothes, your apartment. Marcus was struggling to make sense of it. You mean my deliberately modest lifestyle? The one that let me build my company without anyone realizing how successful it had become. I smiled. Some of us don't need to show off our success to prove we've achieved it. The chairman cleared his throat. Ms. Montgomery has already outlined her plans for restructuring the company, starting with the executive team. Now Marcus looked truly panicked. The Thompson merger is cancelled, I finished for him. It was a desperate attempt to hide the company's financial problems that your mismanagement helped create. You can't do this. Diana stood up, her voice shrill. We're family. Family. I laughed softly. Was it family when you mocked my career choices? When you called me poor at every opportunity? When you dismissed everything I'd built because it didn't fit your definition of success? The board members were watching with barely concealed fascination as the family drama unfolded. Dad won't allow this, Marcus tried, his voice shaking. Dad doesn't have a choice. The board approved the sale unanimously. They've seen the company's decline under your leadership and they want change. What kind of change? Diana whispered. I pulled out a folder. First, a complete restructuring of the executive team. Marcus, your promotion to COO is cancelled. In fact, your position as VP of Mergers and Acquisitions is being eliminated. You're firing me? Consider it a learning opportunity. Maybe now you'll understand what counting pennies really means. Diana started edging toward the door, but I wasn't finished. And Diana, our audit of your strategic initiatives shows a pattern of mismanagement that's cost this company over $50 million. Your position is also being eliminated. But my corner office will make an excellent storage space. I turned to address the entire room. Montgomery Industries was built by people who understood the value of hard work, not entitled executives who relied on their last name to succeed. My phone buzzed, probably my parents having just heard the news. I ignored it. Starting today, this company returns to its roots. Merit-based promotions. Accountable leadership. Real success, not just the appearance of it. The board members were nodding approvingly. They'd watched the company decline under my siblings' leadership, unable to stop it until now. But where will we go? Marcus asked, his arrogance finally cracking. What will we do? I hear entry-level positions are always available, I said mildly. Isn't that what you offered me just last night? Something appropriate to my abilities. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. My parents called non-stop, alternating between anger and desperate bargaining. Relatives who had dismissed me for years suddenly remembered my amazing potential. Even my siblings tried to negotiate, offering to help me run the company they'd nearly destroyed. I let all their calls go to voicemail. A month later, I sat in my real office, the one with the view that made Diana's corner suite look like a closet, reviewing the company's turnaround progress. Profits were up, employee morale was improving, and our stock price had stabilized. Marcus had taken a middle management position at a smaller company, his Maserati replaced by something more practical. Diana was consulting. Actually consulting, not running a global firm, and had downsized to a much smaller apartment. My parents still hadn't quite accepted the new reality. Last week, my mother left a tearful voicemail about family loyalty and giving second chances. I sent back copies of the company's improved quarterly reports. Real success speaks louder than guilt trips. The old Toyota. I kept it. It reminds me that true achievement isn't about what you drive or wear or show off to others. It's about building something meaningful even if no one else sees it coming. Sometimes the poorest person at the family dinner table turns out to be the one who owns everything they're bragging about. And sometimes, just sometimes, the sister they mock for driving an old car is the one who ends up owning their precious company. The best revenge isn't telling everyone about your success. It's letting them discover it right when they're at their most arrogant. After all, pride comes before a fall. And in my family's case, that fall came with a corner office view.